Hey guys, it's your boy Progress, and welcome to a brand new video. Oh, it feels so good to say that, and I am so sorry for the wait, guys, but I'm glad I could finally bring you some content. Anyway, today is gonna be interesting. That's really all I can say to preface this. If you've read the title, of course, you would know that this video is going to be on Jumex, who I actually made a video on, talking about how I suspected he could be an industry plant, and this was, like, almost 2 years ago. I was gonna say a year and a half, but no, it's about 2 years at this point. So in this video, I'm actually gonna be talking about what happened not long after that video came out all the way back then, as well as all of the insane stuff that Jumex has been up to since then. And man, there is a lot. If you haven't watched my original video on the whole situation, then I highly suggest you do go back and watch the original Industry Plant video, as I will be making reference in this video to some of the things that were talked about in there. If you just need like a refresher, I'll be obviously like prefacing the things I say with context to that original video, but if you want to get like a full understanding of the situation, go back and watch it if you haven't. And also, I need to definitely give a quick massive thank you to Travis from Love Burns Clothing, because without him, I would not have been able to make this video nearly as in-depth as it's going to be, because he is actually one of Jumex's longtime friends who is now an ex-best friend of him because of some of the things I will be mentioning in this video. But first, let's go all the way back to what happened not very long after my original video on Jumex actually came out, because to my and probably many people's surprise, he actually responded. And it was terrible, but it was within like the first hour or so of the video even going up. So yeah, with that in mind, let's get into what he said. The first thing that he said was a now deleted comment on the video where he just said, quote, "LMAO, you must be pretty stupid," end quote. Which, yes, thank you, Jumex, so much. Without that amazing insight, how would your fans know how to react, man? This guy, you know what? He deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. Actually, not just the Nobel Peace Prize, give him a Grammy, give him an Emmy, give him, like, all the awards. I don't know, give him, like, second place in middle school high jump. Who cares, man? You deserve it. And yes, this actually was a comment from his account. I know that there isn't a verification symbol, which some people might try and point out, but this was actually all the way back where he didn't have 100K subscribers, so he was not verified on YouTube yet. But don't worry, because if you, for some reason, are skeptical about that, no, there is more to the response that Jumex made about that video, so yeah, let me talk about that now. Basically, the other half of his response was on his own Snapchat story, where he posted a screenshot of my video and put a caption over top of it saying, quote, "Everyone go dislike this video. This dude's facts is totally all wrong and my chain is real. All diamonds. I'll test that. This dude goofy." What I like the most about this specific response from Jumex is that unlike the other one where it was kind of just, you know, him being dumb and just not saying anything of use, in this one he chooses to not go after the things that I actually talked about in the video that were important. No, he decides to go over how I made a joke about how his chain looked fake and basically said, "There's no way this thing is real." And let me get something perfectly clear here. What I was basically saying in that is if that chain is real, one, which I still doubt that it is, I doubt that that was diamonds, but even if it was Jumex, I think you'd be a little bit better off saying that it was fake, because if you paid anything more than 25 cents for that out of a gumball machine, you got ripped off, bud. Also, with him mentioning in that he wanted people to go and, like, dislike my video, basically, because my facts is all wrong, yeah, that didn't work out either, did it? I don't know why it was that I expected any kind of decent response from him, but, you know, I had hoped for a little bit better, but what can I really expect from a guy who thinks it's funny and cool to open up a orange juice container out of the grocery store, drink out of it, and then put it back on the shelf like nothing happened? Not a lot going on up there, is there? But yeah, so in terms of an actual response from Jumex himself, that was really all that I was able to get. But one of his managers, we'll call him for now, named Camo Top Poppy, decided to comment on not just that video, no, but all of the videos totally he watched after that. He managed to comment a total of 65 times on the channel, going all the way back till just a few months before the last upload that I put out. Yes, this man stayed commenting on my channel for well over a year and a half. But yeah, in terms of that Camo Top Poppy guy, the reason why I say manager in quotations is because from what I've gathered through talking to a few people around the circle of Jumex, he is more of just a kind of yes man in the circle. He's not like a true manager who's actually doing all of the stuff with Jumex. But of course, since people were saying this, and I had, you know, originally expected for the last over a year that Camo Top Poppy was one of his big managers, I started to wonder, okay, if he's not, then who is? And let me tell you, when I found out the answer, or at least when I found out, like, from other people combined with my own research, what it seems like that answer is, everything started to make sense. Everything. I should make it clear though, before I get into this, that this is going to be speculation based off of me talking with the other parties who are involved and know Jumex, as well as me finding my own research and then combining these two things into what I'm going to be telling you. I am in no way trying to claim that this is exactly how everything happened. Rather, I am trying to give you what the concept is based off of the research and stuff that I have been able to find thus far. But now, guys, let me try and explain to you the story that is understood thus far of how Jumex became an industry plant. So basically, there is a person who is one of the big managers behind Jumex, and he's also supposedly the same guy who is essentially creating slash funding all of the stuff that he has done. And this guy's name is Bradley Scoffern. And here is a very important Instagram post that I want you guys to keep in mind, and more specifically, the image from the set of Jumex's first music video, Trapped, that has Jumex, Brad, and Taco, who is the director of the music video, all in it. Because I am going to try and explain to you, at least from what I've been able to gather, how Jumex got industry planted. But first, you need to understand some Bradley Scoffern lore so that way you guys can kinda understand how this all came to be. For those of you who have been longtime fans of Odd Future or even just Tyler the Creator, you might actually recognize Brad, or maybe even just his name in general. And that is because Brad Scoffern is actually the old road manager of Tyler the Creator, and either was or still is the operations, strategy, and marketing manager for Golfwang, or just Golf as most people know it now. Which, for those unfamiliar, is actually what the name of Tyler the Creator's clothing brand is. You can also find pictures on Brad's Instagram that show he was involved with Odd Future since at least 2012, and probably even longer than that, as well as photos he took of his friends from Odd Future, such as this picture of Taco, making them longtime friends. Which now it's also important to point out that Brad Scoffern has it listed on his LinkedIn page that he works in business development as a Camp Flognaw Carnival director at Camp Flognaw, which is a yearly festival that is hosted by the guys that make up the Odd Future crew. So Brad being a carnival director basically means that he can call a lot of the shots on what goes on there based off of him being a higher up position for the festival. And it just so happens that before anybody really knew who Jumex actually was, Taco was a DJ and a hype man at the Camp Flognaw 2018 festival, playing Jumex's song Trapped for a massive crowd. Seems kind of strange, right? Taco just happens to be the DJ that plays Trapped at Camp Flognaw and then goes on to make the music video for the very song that he played at that concert. And the entire time, Brad has many different aspects that he is involved with that are attached to Jumex, such as him being the director of the carnival that Jumex ended up getting played at, as well as the fact that he has close connections to Taco, who played him. And then from that point on, Jumex was always on his social media. I'm bringing all of this stuff up because it's important to understand that I have been told basically that Brad Scoffern, although more so being referred to by people as his manager, it'd be more accurate to say that Brad is actually an investor in Jumex. But how Jumex was found by Brad is actually something that I'm going to let Travis from Love Burns Clothing explain, as he actually answered this question from me about 3 months ago when I did an interview with him. But yeah, here's the clip.
And Brad met Mark Jumex because he saw the smoking video, and Brad is like a 40-year-old white guy, because he thinks he knows what's cool in rap, what's popping, he's really out of touch. And he saw the video of Jumex smoking, and thought he could make a profitable artist out of it. So he flew Jumex out to LA, talked to him. Jumex was in LA with no label, none of that, no posting for a long time, until he decided to. Him and Nick Ardino started Cortan together with Jumex as their first artist. And Brad's a millionaire. Mark stayed at his mansion. It's huge. It's a giant LA crib. And I'm assuming Nick is rich like that as well.
So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Brad sees a video of Jumex going viral from the dumb stuff that he was doing. He then decides that he thinks he can capitalize on this opportunity if he turns this into an actual brand, and then flies him out, gets him to record some music, and then, they do some stuff together. And of course, what better way to try and naturally get an artist to grow that you have decided to invest in than to get him to be played by one of your top DJs at a festival that you have a pretty big say in. This also does a pretty good job at explaining why Cortan Records, that Camo Top Poppy would always bring up as some kind of silver bullet in my argument, is one, almost impossible to find any information at all regarding to what they are or, who is involved with it, and two, why they're able to be seen as a grassroots indie label type of thing, even though they're literally being backed by some of the largest people in the music industry. It literally just seems like Camo Top Poppy's job was to propagate information that was meant to try and make the label look a certain way and keep it looking small, when in reality, there are probably millions of dollars being invested to all of these projects that they're doing. Hey guys, editing progress here, and I just wanted to quickly add as well that in terms of other things that really identify Jumex as an industry plant, obviously you can go and find the examples that I talked about in the original video I made, but there's actually also a lot of other stuff that makes it extremely obvious that this kid is not an actual person. This is not his real image that he's trying to portray. It's been fabricated by people who think this is what others want to see. There's no way that there's a natural progression that exists in a person's personality where they go from jumping around in classrooms and smoking, yelling, "Oh, world star, they didn't think I would do this," to then going on and posting on social media being "Oh, I'm just a little sad boy and I'm just extremely misunderstood." That's not normal. There's no that's such a hard turn that it's very obvious that this was trying to be an image correction that they were trying to make. And not only that, but even Patrick CC pointed it out in his original video that he made on Jumex, where he showed that Jumex essentially tried to wear depression as a brand, the equivalent of wearing shirts that just say, "I'm depressed, isn't that interesting?" Nobody who actually has these mental health problems and experiences these mental health problems would want to glamorize them in the fashion that Jumex does. He doesn't do it like somebody who actually has struggles that he's working with. He does it like somebody who thinks that's what will make him popular. And if you want a really extreme example of showing that Jumex is extremely fabricated, you can even go as far as to show that it looks like Jumex hardly ever writes any of his own songs. There is plenty of examples where I've even gone onto not even just Spotify and checked in the writers section, because producers can get mixed in there as well, but I decided to go and check out the Writers Association or whatever it's called website, where they have to list all of the people who contributed, and you can actually see that I Love McConan or I Love Mackinnon is credited as a writer for many of Jumex's songs, on his last EP that he put out when he started blowing up. And not only only that, but even one of Jumex's like previous group members ended up releasing screenshots where it showed that he basically just got this guy, like he texted him saying, "Hey man, can you write me a song?" And then the guy was like, "Yeah, sure, like what do you want it to be about?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I want it to be flexing, but emotional." Like, it's so cringe. Like, the dude clearly is just trying to do something for an image that has been, like, created for him and has no idea how to act like a normal human being anymore. It's so weird. And although even that is a pretty extreme example, there's an even more extreme example that I was able to find where Jumex's song called Billie Eilish, like, wasn't even created or incepted by anybody who was a part of Jumex's team originally. It was made by a guy named Lil Soda Boy, who made a song called Strawberry Blonde, which Jumex's team must have just bought off of Lil Soda Boy because they liked it, and then they just kind of re-imaged it to make it seem like it was a song that Jumex wrote about Billie Eilish. But now that we've got that industry plant stuff like out onto the side because we've, you know, basically covered everything that there is to cover about that, I really want to get into talking about the terrible, terrible things that Jumex has done this past year, because I think it's really important that this is known. And for this section, I mostly have to thank the Instagram page known as Exposing Jumex _, as they are the ones that luckily had screenshotted most of the things from the parties involved as it was happening, and then they re-uploaded it to their Instagram page, which is great because a lot of the things that were posted during this time were on their Instagram stories, which auto-delete themselves after 24 hours. So without this being up there, it would have been almost impossible to know any of this happened. Firstly, let's go over Jumex ruining his friendship with the other SBS members. Basically, there was a little bit of internal tension going on leading up to this kind of like major moment that happened, and almost all of it actually had to do with Jumex, of course, being in the wrong, because he kind of was trying to get this big ego trip, acting like that all of the other members of this group he was a part of owe everything to him, because I guess he didn't feel like they were being grateful enough because he is the largest out of them. So he kind of went on this ego trip of like, oh, you're kind of nothing without me type of thing. And this kind of side of him, like showing off what type of person he's like, is very prevalent in an Instagram live stream that he did on May 20th. And here's a clip of that.
I edited SBS, had a little, you know, they did a little something to stay relevant, you know, like that, bro, like, I made them who they are, it's whatever, we move on.
So yeah, you know, quite the humble guy, obviously. But yeah, it gets even worse, because not only was he acting like that, but because he felt like, I guess, maybe wasn't being respected by them enough, so Jumex decided to go and falsely copyright take down different music that was made by the other SBS members, I Don't Know Conundrum and Sadcrod. I Don't Know Conundrum later elaborated and showed an actual email of the takedown notice, where it was listed as to what Jumex decided to say was why the songs got taken down by him, where he decided to list that it was because there was a tag played at the beginning of the song that supposedly he didn't give them permission to use, and he owned that tag, so therefore he could take down the song. But this was later disproven by I Don't Know Conundrum himself when he showed text messages between himself and Jumex, where Jumex is seen saying that he not only gave him permission to use that tag, but Jumex actually told him to put that tag into his song, which means that Jumex essentially filed false copyright takedowns, and that is actually an illegal act to do, and here on screen is actually the act within US law that states that you cannot do that. So not only is Jumex extremely dumb for deciding to do this, he also decided to commit an illegal act just simply out of revenge for him being upset for no reason. And since we're on the topic of Jumex doing stuff that is illegal, I can't believe that this is even a usable transition to the next topic, but it is, because yes, there's more. Jumex actually had quite the doxing crusade that I want to talk about. For those of you unfamiliar with the term doxing and what it actually entails and why it's so serious, basically doxing is when someone searches for and publishes private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet and it's typically with malicious intent. In this case, I definitely think that it was. And the way that Jumex participated in this action of doxing is when he decided to go onto his public Snapchat, which he probably had tens of thousands of followers on there from his fans, and he went and decided to post the home address, like publicly post on his Snapchat story, the home address of his ex-best friend Travis and I don't know Conundrum, as well as the phone number and home address of the other SBS member Sadcrod. That is a criminal offense, and it's so insanely messed up. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to speak all that much to Conundrum or Sadcrod on everything that went on, but based on how Jumex has already made threats towards Conundrum while texting him, saying that he would bash him if he went to LA, this was definitely a malicious action. And when I talked to Travis about this situation, he said his biggest fears were more so focused on the fact that it wasn't just him living in that home that he had leaked, it was also the home of his mother and sister. And of course, that poses a serious problem. So yeah, this is some really, really serious stuff. And honestly, after this, I think most people, you know, the average person who thinks about their actions and actually reflects on the things that they've said and done would probably be like, you know, oh, I want to come out with a statement and apologize. I'm sorry for what I did. I understand entirely that I messed up, and I really want to make sure this never happens again. I understand if you guys are upset at me. But you know where this is going, don't you? Yeah, of course. Jumex could not do that, and instead decided to threaten them again that he could dox them when he did his Instagram live stream on May 20th.
Oh yeah, by the way, I moved houses and I changed numbers, so hey, but you know, for the other people who live with their parents still, I still got their Addy, so that's all I gotta say, bro. And they can't move, they live with their parents. I can move, so
like, I'm not even Jumex's legal team manager or anything, and I'm going insane at the concept of somebody thinking that it is a decent idea at all, that after you have already committed at least, like, I don't even know what we're at right now, maybe, I think, four individual, like, offenses that you could be charged for, put into jail for, like, there's just so many things going on here, and he continues, he threatens it again. What has to go through your head? Who is around this guy? He is just actually a terrible person. Like, that's all that I can say. And of course, this entire time, you need to keep in mind that, like, not long before all of this stuff went down, these guys were friends. Like, Travis grew up, like, through high school and stuff, knowing Jumex. Like, these guys were close for a very long time. And then he just throws that out and is like, yep, get doxed, kid. It wasn't even enough for Jumex to just do all of that. No, that was clearly not far enough for him. He had also then gone out of his way to go into Travis's Loveburns Clothing Instagram page, lock Travis out of it because he, like, changed the password or whatever, and then tried to rebrand it as his own, like, clothing brand page. Like, how can you sink so insanely low? I just don't understand that. But yeah, like I said, like, I don't even know. I don't even say this about, like, many people, but Jumex is a horrible person. That's all I can say. He just is. But yeah, that's gonna have to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for waiting and being really, really patient and sending me encouraging messages, like, even when I was away, saying that you're just excited for me to upload again. And after I made the announcement that I would be uploading, like, you know, today, I'm glad that you guys were so excited and still willing to, you know, want to come back on board and watch my content. It means a lot, guys. It really does. And I also, once again, want to give a quick shout out just to Travis from Loveburns Clothing. Go and check out his clothes. They are actually really cool looking. I've been considering, like, trying to get something from him because it looks like some really awesome stuff. So, you know, I'll probably end up getting something off of him too. Go check him out. Like, it's some cool stuff. Support the guy's brand. And of course, as always, these amazing patrons that I have are just simply the most fantastic people on the planet. They have supported me through thick and thin, and it is so amazing that you guys have done that for me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of my patrons, and a massive special thank you to my $10 and up patrons this month. Those being Farski, Midwestfunky, Helen, Keyohh, semanpunk, and Medusa Lives. Just thank you so much for supporting me through everything. I really hope that I can get you guys some solid content that is enjoyable for everyone, because you guys have definitely helped through your donations to make this happen, so thank you guys. It means a lot. But yeah, of course, I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, it should be art over algorithm. Goodbye.
I just can't think anymore. Bring me back, but I won't. Sit my ass on the floor. I just can't find me no Lord. Don't feel strong where I've been. I'm blowing off in the wind. Paper the rights of my sins. I pray they stop if I